start the recording.
Okay.
Allan.
Already it's 4:30, 4:29 on my clock. So why don't we get started? This week's Hazzan is Hazzan Neil Schwartz from, as you all know, from Temple Emmanuel in Dothan, Alabama. I think Neil's been on, I think every Zoom, every Kabbalat Shabbat we've had, give or take, participated or led us in at least two, I think, if I remember correctly, at least two. So it's kind of like your family. So we don't need a big, read his bio. It's very impressive. He's in Alabama. He is such a nice guy, such a mensch, and we're so happy you're back with us. Cantor Hazzan Neil Schwartz, take it away, baby.
Toda rabah. So first things first, before I put this on, I want to show you a very special talit. This was woven by the Jews waiting to get out of Ethiopia and out of Sudan into Israel. And I used to, at every education conference, I would stop by the booth and give them $100. And 1 year, long time ago, they said, if you'll give us a second $100, we'll send you home with a talit that was made by these folks. And so I wear it for very special occasions. And you see the gorgeous colors, the African colors in it, that also happen to work well with blue Jewish colors, the blue and the white.
No, Neil, the purple.
And purple, in honor of IKC.
Somehow I knew that was going to come.
Right. The other reason that I am wearing a big talit with a white shirt instead of the suit jacket that I will wear when I stand at the same pulpit tonight and lead services for my congregation is the fact that we are going back to Camp Ramah 1977 in the New England region. One of my pieces of nachas is that all three of my kids, after attending Camp Ramah Darom in the Southeast region, they all worked there, including all three at one time. And my eldest son, who is now a principal in a synagogue in Chicagoland, actually spent 12 years there between the years as a camper and many, many years as a staff person. So I think there are some people on this call who may remember Bullwinkle the Moose, a TV cartoon starring Rocky the Flying Squirrel. And it finally, as I was trying to wrap my head around this, it occurred to me that Boris and Natasha, the Russian spies, were very timely for the 60s of the Bullwinkle show. But no, I'm not going to talk politics, but one has to wonder whether or not they're once again becoming timely. However, the part of the show that I liked the best as a little kid was Dr. Peabody's Wayback Machine. And he would take the kid who was visiting Dr. Peabody back to various things in history by putting him in this machine and hitting some buttons, dialing the year that they wanted to go back to. So we are going back to 1977. I'm going to, in honor of that, add one thing that we haven't been doing on Friday evenings here, and that is at Camp Ramah. I don't know if they're still doing it, but in my day, when I was the head of the prayer program, they were doing Shir Shirim, and there were 8 chapters in Shir Shirim, 8 Dot. Each week, a different data got to do one of the chapters during the summer. And outside of that, it's going to be a pretty standard old style Ramah service, which I've actually used in many of my conservative synagogues. I'm now in a Reform synagogue, finishing up my career, retiring in 5 months. So I'm going to call page numbers for what's affectionately called Slim Shalom and for Lev Shalem. And it was in Lev Shalem that I found out that there were things that were never in the original Sim Shalom or Slim Shalom, including Shir Shirim, by the way. So we won't do candle lighting. Let me just, without using Shem Hashem, let me just share the melody that actually is one of the few things that seems to be pretty similar between Reform and Conservative. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. And on page 13, because it's much more familiar to us, let's do Shalom Aleichem. We'll use Goldfarb's melody for this, the same guy who wrote several of the melodies like by Hulu and Magen Avot at the other end of the service, which we only do when we do a complete Friday evening service. Shalom Aleichem Malachei Asharei Malachei Elyon Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Bo'achem L'Shalom Malachei Ashalom Malachei Elyon Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Baruch Hu Ni L'Shalom Malachei Ashalom Malachei Elyon Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Tzeitichem L'Shalom Malachei Ashalom Malachei Elyon Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I recently read to my 6-year-old granddaughter a storybook which talks about the two angels, one on each shoulder, that go home with each person from synagogue to home on a Friday evening. If everything's all set for Shabbat, the good angel says, may it be the same next week. The bad angel says, amen. But if the house is dark, no warm food waiting, no candles lit, the bad angel gets to say, may it be the same next week. And the good angel has to say, amen. So that's the story of Shalom Aleichem. At Ramah, Shabbat HaMalkah actually was done as part of the Zmirot, the table songs, after the service in the dining room. But it is so gorgeous. And again, this is one thing that is in Reform prayer books also, so I do get a chance to do it once in a while here. Let me sing quickly the Hebrew and English of that. It is on page 13 if you have a Lev Shalom. I'm sorry, page 13 if you have a Slim Shalom, and page 60, the only major skip we'll have if you are in Lev Shalom. So let me do it in English first. There won't be that much English. Let's do this, and then you'll have perhaps even more appreciation for the Hebrew. The sun on the treetops no longer is seen. Come gather to welcome the Sabbath, our Queen. Behold her descending, the holy, the blessed, and with her of the angels of peace and of rest. Draw nigh, and here abide. Draw nigh, O Shabbat bride. Shalom Aleichem, ye angels of peace. The Hebrew was written by Chaim Nachman Bialik, and that's a fairly accurate translation. Here's the original. And I'm going to use the Ashkenazic accents. This is something we were taught at JTS, that when you're doing something from a period when the accents were moved back one, it's nice to do it that way. Achama me rosha ilanot nistalka, o uvene seri krat Shabbat amalka, hine yoredet hakdosha habarucha, ve'ima malachim tzva shalom umenucha, boi hamalka, boi hakala. Shalom Aleichem Malachei HaShalom. And with that, let me do one more thing, which is straight Ramah. I have not served in a single conservative synagogue out of 6 that this was part of their Friday evening tradition to do Shir HaShirim, but it is such a gorgeous trope that I wanted to share a little bit of it with you. So it's actually found on page 7 and 8 in the Lev Shalem Siddur. It does not appear in the Slim Shalom. Shir HaShirim asher lishlomo tishakeni min shikot pihu ki tovim dodeka miyayin l'reach shmonecha tovim shemen turak shemecha al kein alamoda hevuka moshcheni acharecha narutza hevi ani hamelech chad arav nagid lavenis mechabach nazkir radodecha miyayin meisharim ahevuka. Oh, it's erotic. Song of Solomon. May my lover kiss me with the kisses of his mouth. Your love is sweeter than wine. How sweet the smell of your ointments. What a fragrant perfume. Your very name. That's why we maidens so love you. Pull me toward you. Let us run off together. Let the king bring me to his chambers. This really is better, better being chanted by a female cantor than a male one. However, it's also the source of a couple of our kind of love songs from the Israeli repertoire. Here is Kol Dodi, Kol Dodi, Kol Dodi Nezeba. That repeats. Midale Galehari, Memika Peitz al Hagavahot. Midale Galehari, Memika Peitz al Hagavahot. And the much better known Dodi Li Ba'anilo Haro Bashoshanim, which is a gorgeous new setting. Dodi Li Ba'anilo Haro Shoshanim, Shoshanim. And with that, let us go to Yedid Nefesh. That is page 10 in Lev Shalem, page 14 in Slim Shalom. And we're going to use the melody that, at least in my day, was the only one used at Ramah. Some of the other melodies that are being used now, quite frankly, weren't written in the late 1970s. Page 14, Slim Shalom, page 10 in Lev Shalem. Yedid Nefesh, Avarach Haman, Meshoch Abdach El Ritzonach, Yarus Abdach Kamo Ayal, Yishach Have El Mul Hararach, Yerab Lo Yedidudach, Mino Fetzuf, Vechol Ta'am, Adur Na'eziv Ha'olam, Nafshi Kolad Ahavatach, Ana Ilna Rifana La, Behar Otlah Noam Zivach, Az Titchazik, V'tidrabe, V'hayed alach shivchat olam, V'tiyehmu marach amecha, V'chuzna al beino havach, Ki ze kama niksof niksav, lirot b'tiferet uzach, anayli machmad libi, chushana ve'al tithalam, higa aleina ufros kaviv, alai et sugat shelomach, ta'ir et migvodach, nagila v'nismechabach, Maherau v'kiva moed, v'choneini kimei olam. Everyone. Yala la 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 la, yala la 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 la, yala la 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 la, yala la la la, yala la 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 la, yala la 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 la, yala la 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 la, yala la la la, yala la 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 la, yala la 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 la. Yala la 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 la, yala la la la, yala la 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 la, yala la 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 la, yala la 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 la, yala la la la, yala la 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 la, yala la 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 la, yala la 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 la. Yala la 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 la, yala la 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 la, yala la 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 la, yala la la la, yala la 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 la, yala la 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 la, yala la 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 la. Page 15 in Slim Shalom, page 11 in Lev Shalem. Here is the old Ramah melody at the beginning of Psalm 95. Lechun ranen al Adonai, nari al tzur yish'enu, nekarma v'ana betoda, bizmirot nari alo, nekadma v'ana betoda, bizmirot nari alo. Ki el gadol Adonai, umelech gadol al kol Elohim, asher be'aro mechterei aretz, beto'afot harim lo, asher be'aro mechterei aretz, beto'afot harim lo. He will hang when not Yom Arbaim sana akut bedor, Baomar amto elev levavhem, Behem lo yad uderachai. Asher nishbati ve'api im yavo'un el menuchati. Psalm 96, 16 and 13. Yes, 13 in Lev Shalem. Shir l'Adonai, shir kadosh, shir l'Adonai kol ha'aretz, shir l'Adonai baruchu shemo basaru miyom leyom. Yeshuato sapru bagoyim kevol hamim tifo. Over the Lebanon, Adonai badrakodes Yarinamim b'mesharim. One of the few melodies that we have the kids singing because they knew it so well from other aspects of camp. Yismachu hashamayim, Yismachu hashamayim, Yismachu hashamayim, b'dagel haaretz. Yismachu hashamayim, Yismachu hashamayim, Yismachu hashamayim, b'dagel haaretz. Yir am hayam, Yir am hayam umlo o yir am hayam yir am hayam yir am hayam umlo o yir am hayam yir am hayam yir am hayam umlo o yir am hayam yir am hayam yir am hayam umlo os ya alo sarai kol asher bo az yiranu kol atzei yar Livnei Adonai giva lishpot haaretz yishpot tevel b'tzedek ve'amim be'emunato. 15, Psalm 97, page 15 in Lev Shalem, 17 in Slim Shalom. Adonai malach dagel haaretz yismechu im rabim Anan Rafel Zaviva Sedek Mishpat Metkon Kis Oezu Ra'u Kolamin Kevoru Yevosu Saman Elohim. Oh, have Adonai seen Ura, Shomer Nafshod Chasidav, Miyad Rishaim Yatzilem, Or Zaru ala Tzadik Yisraelim Simcha, Simchu Tzadikim Baronai, Odud Zecher Kodsho. Psalm 98. Shir Adonai Shir Kadash Kini Flodosa Oshi Aloyim Mino Uzroa Kochodi Neagan Zotan Adri Adonai Golas Pizza Kubaran Zammer Adonai Kozim Bekatzot ro, bekol shofar, Hari livnei amelech Adonai, Yir am hayam umlo, Tevel veyoseveva, Narotim ka'uchaf, Yachar harim yoranenu, Livnei Adonai gival ishpor haaretz, Ishpot tevel b'tzedek, Ve'amim b'meisharim. And Psalm 99, page 19, and in Lev Shalem, also page 19. Adonai malagir gazu amin yoshev keruvim tanu ta'ar salnai b'sion gadol amro kol ha'amim. Adonai Eloheinu Adonidam El Nosei Hayit Alohem Benokeim Alalilotam Romamu Adonai Eloheinu Vishakavu Lahar Kodsho Kikadosh Adonai Eloheinu. For Psalm 29, which is page 20 in Slim Shalom and 21 in Lev Shalem. This is the Spanish-Portuguese melody, which I've been pleased to hear with some of my colleagues, but this is the only melody we did at Ramah in those days. Mizmor LeDavid, Havu Adonai b'nei Elim, Havu Adonai kavod va'oz, Havu Adonai kavod shemo, Yishtachavu Adonai b'hadrat kodesh, Kol Adonai al hamayim el hakavod irim, Adonai al mayim rabim, Kol Adonai ba'koach, Kol Adonai beharar, Kol Adonai sover arzim v'shaber Adonai et arzei halvanon, Vayarkidehem gemo egel, Levanon vesirion, Kemo van reim. Kol Adonai chotzei lahavot ish, Kol Adonai yachil midbar, Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, Kol Adonai yecholel ayalot, Vayechesov ye'arot, Uveichalo kulo omer kavod. Aharonai lamabul yashav, Vayeshev Aronai melech le'ulam, Aronai oz le'amo yitain, Aronai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Sometimes they added, et amo, et amo, et amo v'shalom. Picture that being sung by 600 to 700 kids with their staff outside if it wasn't raining, and the Beit Am Gadol if it was, everybody dressed in white and singing at the top of their lungs. I'm not going to take the time to do Ana B'Koach, partly because I have another surprise for you before Kiddush Rabbanan. And quite frankly, we didn't do Ana B'Koach. I don't know whether they're doing it at Ramah now, but we certainly didn't do it in the 70s. All the melodies that I have learned for Ana B'Koach are actually much newer than that, so that wouldn't be authentic. But L'Chadodi, this is going to move fast. This is the real McCoy, 21 and 22 in Shalom Shalom, and 24, 23, 24, 25 in Lev Shalom. Okay, hold on to your seats and sing along. L'chadodi krakala b'nei Shabbat nekabela, l'chadodi krakala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shomor v'zachor v'dibu v'rechad, hishmi anu el hamiyuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, Hashem u'diber v'li tehila. L'chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, l'chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu b'nei lecha, ki hi mekor habaracha merosh mikerem nesucha, so ma'aseh b'machshvat chila. L'chadodi likrat gala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, l'chadodi likrat gala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Mikdash melech melucha, kum mitzai mitocha haftecha, rav lach shevet be'emek habacha, vehu yachamol alayich temla. L'chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, l'chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Itna'ari me'afar kumi, Livshi bigdei tifartei chami, al yad ben Yishai beit alachmi, korva el nafshi ge'ala. L'chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, l'chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Heat oreri, Kiva ore, kumi ori, uri, shirda beiri, tevod Adonai alayich nigla. Last time, l'chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, l'chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lo te boshi below. Lo ti kalmi ma ti shochachi umatehemi Bach yechesu aniye ami benivnata ir altila lecharodi likrat gala ne Shabbat ne Kabbalat Hayu the Shimsa Shosai Faracha Kukol Milval Aich Yasi Salai Elohai Kimsos Khatan Al Kala Lechadodi Likakala Pene Shabbat ne Kabbalat Yaminus Mol Tifrotsi Vietaronai Ta'aritsi Aliadis Ben Parsi Benis Mecha Ben Agila Lechadori Likrakala Pene Shabbat Ne Kabbalat Bohi Shalom Ateret Balaha Gam Besimcha Utsohola Tochemune Am Segula Boichala Lechadodi Likrat Kala Pene Shabbat Ne Kabbalat. Followed immediately by top of Psalm 92. Mizmor Shir, Mizmor Shir, Leyom HaShabbat. 20-part harmony here. Mizmor Shir, Mizmor Shir, Leyom HaShabbat. And while we all got our breath back, Tolo Adonai ulzamber l'shimcha elyon le'agid b'boker chazdecha emunatecha b'aleilot ale sarana ve'ale gayom b'pinu k'sim kampanya Magodelu ma secharonai ma od ameku ma chvotecha shvalo yira aven ariat that on the Rome hey oi beka yo vedu holy oven alodi Hashem. And of course, the absolute oldest composition in this entire Kabbalat Shabbat, Louis Lewandowski's setting of the last 4 lines. Picture this with a huge 4-part choir. Tzadik karamar yifrach Ke'erez balvanon yizkeh Shedulim beveit Adonai Kechatzrot Eloheinu Yafriku Od Yenun B'Seva Kishenim V'Ra'ananim Kiyu Lehagid Ki Yashar Adonai Suri Elo Avlad Abo. He wrote that just about 150 years ago for the Great Synagogue in Berlin. And here's the Nusach. Last time I did this as a cantorial piece, we wouldn't have done that at camp. So let me do straight nusach for Psalm 93, page 24 in Slim Shalom, and 29 in Lev Shalom. Adonai malakut lavesh lavesh Adonai zori dazar avtigonde al baltimar. Mikolod maim rabim adirim mishpereyam adir bamarom Adonai erodecha ne'emenu meod levetecha na'avakodesh Adonai le'orech yamim. Now, before I do a little tiny bit of studying that you hopefully are going to absolutely love, let me just lay one term on you. That is called musical anticipation in the cantor business, because the evening service is going to be minor. So the majorish sounding, actually Adonai Malach mode that we've been using, is transitioned out of that during Psalm 93 at the end of Kabbalat Shabbat. Okay, I'm a big believer that if you're going to say a scholar's Kaddish, you should do a little scholarship, but I think you're going to like this scholarship. So the first thing to show you is what the entire tabernacle, according to Moshe Levine in 1969, the tabernacle and its court looked like. The court was about the size of the property on which the synagogue sits. The tabernacle itself, that thing covered in the longish thing in the middle there, that would fit very nicely into my own sanctuary. Questions like, how are you going to hold vertical boards that are 10 cubits tall, 15 feet tall, together? So that is an overview. That's the outer curtain, the inner curtain for the Holy of Holies, the ark siding in the back square there. And here is how they held all those boards together on each side. They sat in sockets, and they had bars through them, and they were connected by a little, not a little, a big silver socket, like a couple, basically. It just goes around every pair of boards. So when I'm trying to have a bunch of kids show what it was like to have individual boards be tall, I say, okay, now just put your arms around each other's shoulders, and now you can stand in a straight line and nobody could push you guys over. So that's exactly how the boards were put together. That's what it looked like before the covering. And these are the 3 layers of covering. The inner linen stuff would have been shredded by the desert storms. So it was covered by the same thing Bedouin tents are still made out of to this day. I've been in one in Israel. That's that grayish stuff. And then they show fuzzy, but that would be leather, that top red dyed leather and other assorted types of leather. Here is a view of, another view of the whole courtyard. And what's fascinating about this huge compound, it's mesh. So the desert winds can blow right through it. And those are even taller. Those posts holding that up are 20 feet tall. This is what they think the ark looked like. I think that it should have had the staves on the long side. And the last thing I'm going to show you is, this is what they think that the high priest looked like. So there are lots more detailed pictures in this book. I don't know if it's still in print. I was given this as a thank you gift from the very happy parents of an absolutely amazing Bat Mitzvah student shortly after it was written. The second edition was done in the 70s, and she was one of my early students. But In any case, that can count as study because we've got 4 portions in a row of this stuff, actually 5 this year with the 13th month. So on the basis of that, I invite those who are interested in sharing a Kaddish de Rabbanan to do so. It's on 27 in Slim Shalom and page 38 in Love Shalom, if that's what you're using. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabah ve'alama divrach hirute v'yamlich mafuteh v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmeh rabah mevarach le'alam ul aldamei aldamaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'ala v'yithalal shemeh v'kudusha ve'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata v'amiran v'alama v'imru amen.
Amen.
Al Yisrael
Yeah.
Ve'al Rabbanan Ve'al Talmidei Hon Ve'al Kol Talmidei Hon Ve'al Kol Man Oskim Be'orayeta Di Ve'atra Hadein Ve'di Ve'chol Atar Ve'atar Yahei Lahon Uletchon Selamar Rabba China Ve'kista Ve'rachamin Ve'chayin Arichin Umzona Rebika Ukur Kana Min Kodam Abuhon Maya Imru Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Rabba min Shmaya v'chayim tovim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen.
Amen.
Shalom umromal huyah shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so
God.
much.
Pastor Koch.
And Neil Schwartz. I think everyone, it looks like everyone got back with the Wayback Machine. It seems to work this time. We're back where we started,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Good.
Thanks so much. Dothan, Alabama is lucky to have you. We're lucky to have you every week. We see
Thank
you
you.
all the time. You'll notice that I'm doing the thank yous this time instead of Allan. That's because Allan Gottesman and his family are the sponsors this week. And it's
Mazel tov.
very, very special. It was a birthday. We won't tell you how many, but it's one before the really good one.
68, it's 2 behind. What are you talking? It's 68 only.
That's one before the really good one.
Wow. Such a youngster.
So
A baby.
A
What a
baby.
baby.
And I want to remind everybody that the sponsorships go. It's really important this week because of Worldwide Wrap. Part of what we do is we buy tefillin, and we started with that. And just so you know that we've been giving money for tefillin to Neve Hannah for their youth there, and we've also been giving tefillin to the Woman of the Wall. So that's where the money goes whenever someone makes a donation. We want to thank you all for being here. Next week, we're going to have Hazzan Pamela Schiffer with us. And we've got plans. We've got a lot of people coming with us. It was wonderful to have you, Neil. And it was wonderful for everybody to be with us. Everyone should have a great Shabbat. Nothing but the best for everybody. Stay healthy, stay happy, and come back next week. We'll have a good time again. And happy Shabbat.
We will. Good Shabbos.
You know,
Good Shabbos.
Good
Because
Shabbos, everyone.
I thought there was much more
Good
purpose
Shabbos,
in
everyone.
this one.
Good idea.
Yum da 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 yum da 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 dum da da da.